Today on Meta Trends, we're going to be quickly recapping the top tier competitive events that occurred over the past weekend. And then I'm also going to share with you info from behind the yugioh desk, basically share with you the player siding patterns and a lot of the relevant cards that they played. Remember, anyone that competed in the undisputed UDS, they are all champion level players. They all won their belts. That's how they got their invite to play in this particular event. And you know that it's going to be very, very helpful. Now, trust me, whether it be for the upcoming locals you're going to, or any sort of tier 2 or tier 3 event like a Team YCS in Las Vegas, this info will probably be pretty relevant. And I'm going to share with you why. So make sure you guys hit that thumbs up and hit subscribe, ding that notification bell, and let's go. Over the past weekend, there were two simultaneous events that took place. One being the Team YCS in Costa Rica, and the second one being the Undisputed UDS Championship that took place at Konami headquarters for the quarter century celebration. And during that time, I took a lot of notes here, like so many notes, in fact, that I have every single round to round basically all written out behind this card. If you guys wonder what I'm holding, it's because I take a lot of notes during this stuff to break things down. But let's take a look at the deck statistic first. In the Undisputed UDS, 13 of those decks played the Snake Eye engine, whether it be Snake Eye Fire Kings or pure Snake Eye, around 13 of them, because there are 3 decks that were slightly different, one being Floowandereeze, one being Cash Tier, and the other being Branded. And of course, the winner of the entire event was Jesse Cotton, playing Snake Eye Fire Kings. Similarly, the Team YCS in Costa Rica has a very similar representation, a majority of the decks being a Snake Eye or Snake Eye Fire King, and if you just remove the Fire King and just consider Snake Eye as an engine, you would know that, hey, this is basically a tier 0 deck. Both charts, it took more than 3/4 of the entire representation of just that engine, so you can expect a lot of this deck. And therefore, it's definitely tier 0. You guys are like, oh, stop saying it's tier 0. It's not tier 0. There's no representation. Well, here's your data. Like, this was very easily predictable that they were going to enter a tier 0 format. No maxi, so there's a lot less punishment. These decks are really known to spam out really, really hard. And playing around the other hand traps was much easier. Now, the slight replacement here in terms of Team YCS Costa Rica is that there's a lot of more representation when it comes to voiceless voice. I think there's just more people giving it a try, and perhaps Floowandereeze just wasn't the right choice for the player who played it at the UUDS. But hey, these are all top-level players. They make their own choices. They make the representation. And of course, there's still Cash Tier and Branded. Those decks are still very strong. Of course, Cash Tier being the anti-meta. Branded, I've seen in, Andres Torres, mainly just locking people with Gimmick Puppet, and Gimmick Puppet lock is still very strong. But those are the statistics. Let's talk about how the players sided at the UUDS. Now, from behind the desk, I got to see their deck list, and most people got featured. We got their deck list anyway. But in terms of what we got to see, it helped me kind of split them into 2 camps in terms of how they sided. They're either, Team Hand Trap or Team Blowout. And in terms of Team Hand Trap, they like to shut people down. Most of them played the Delta package with the Gamma, the Side Frame package entirely. More Ghost Girls, such as Ghost Bells, added into their deck. Triple copies of a lot of things. And adding in even Crossout Designators. Crossout Designator was just great in general. 90% of the deck list all played Cosmic Cyclone, so that was a pretty common choice because Fire King cards are really useful, and removing back row is also very crucial post side, because you always have to respect the people that are playing the Floodgate side, which would be the ones playing Blowout, such as Anti-Spell Fragrance, because whenever that card flip face up, most people that did not have a Cosmic Cyclone struggled to get their turn back, and sometimes it does backfire where the hand trap heavy hitting prevented things from going off, and they had to play into an anti-spell, which kind of hurt them more than it oppressed the opponent. So that was also part of the siding pattern. Additionally, we've seen some Phantasme in there as well from Jeff Jones. But what's the remaining slot of cards? They were burn cards. There was Agave Dragon sided in many, many players' deck lists. The other card was Volcanic Scattershot with Sprint. I think Scattershot and Sprint is kind of nice because I think Agave Dragon helps you gain 400 life, whereas the Sprint burns for 500. So you might find a way to counter that, especially if you have Kieran in your hand. The other line is the Ghost Sister Spooky Dog, where so many lists had them, so they expect that if they don't get to make a choice, at least they have a fighting chance of just preventing it from kicking off entirely, or maybe just winning outright. So those are the siding patterns, but I'm not going to leave you guys hanging. I'm going to go over every single tech option and the differences people made and how it impacted the tournament in terms of like what they did with those cards and why they used it. And so these are the techs played by these players, starting off with Infernal Flame Banshee in pure Snake Eyes, used to add Ash or Poplar or extend under D-Shifter. Used by Shinping Zhu, we got to witness that on Feature Match, how he escaped a Dimension Shifter without using any Snake Eye cards, well, Well, he left one Snake Eye just so that the Infernal Flame Banshee can summon itself once it gets banished. He used it, basically linked it off, it got banished, summoned itself back onto the field using the Dark, reviving the D-Shifter, and made an Appaloosa from there. Very, very smart play, and basically used that to shut down Floowandereeze. Underworld Goddess of the Closed World, it can be used in both Snake Eye or Fire King. I believe this was played by Tyler Pfeiffer. And so use as an IP removal, because you can use that to remove one of your opponent's monster, remove a very crucial monster, and then use it to carefully counterplay against any of the graveyard summon. So it acts as a double whammy. You got the removal, and you also got the shutdown of graveyard effect. That was his choice for a 15th extra deck card. And then there's Relinquish Anima. As a level 1 and Zelantis play alternative, you can use it as a non-destructive removal. And using Zelantis, you can reposition your opponent's monster in front of the extra monster zone. And then you can use it as a way to take it as long as you kept a level 1, which is a very smart way to actually play it out. And that was used by Jesse Cotton in the very first feature match to deal with a Fire King Kirin. And if you're going to be playing the Infernal Flame Banshee, then you're going to have to also put in something in your main deck, such as Parallel Xyz in Snake Eye Pure. I think you can also try to tech that into Fire King if you really want to, because going into Link Karibo is just such a common play, but it will require you to dedicate additional slots for your extra deck, so keep that in mind. This will help you summon under the Link Karibo, and you can even pivot into Dweller or Baguska if you choose to tech in that direction, but this was used by Shouldn't Ping. And then Divine Temple of the Snake Eye can be used in, of course, Snake Eyes, but also in the Fire King build. A lot of Fire King builds did not play it. Jesse Cotton did end up siding it in. He had it in his side. It was a good counterplay against Nibiru, especially set up Oak into the back, or sometimes even Flamberge into the back, because you can use that to link it off into an IP Masquerade, put your monsters back out, and there's just so much follow-up with this card. Even when your opponent summons out a Promethean Princess and tries to blow up one of your cards, the Divine Temple of the Snake Eye will provide you with an additional monster to keep your pressure going and keep your momentum building. Everyone also played Triple Tactics Talent. I think this card is a staple in most people's decks, and it's very easy to pull off, and it punishes most people for going for an early Appaloosa play used by basically the majority of players at the event. Crossout Designator was used by the Snake Eyes and the Fire King people, because you can be used in the main or the side. Jesse Cotton chose to main it, like other people chose to side it. Either way, in a format where it is basically tier 0, you can expect people to kind of play a lot of the similar main decks. We've seen Nibiru being crossed out. We also witnessed Flamberge Dragon being crossed out. It is a very, very powerful card, especially when you know that there's going to be a majority of people playing the same deck or a similar deck to you, where you're not just hitting hand traps here, you're also hitting main deck cards. And that is invaluable information. But a lot of them said that they're not going to keep playing this outside of this event, because this event was rather small because there's only 16 players, but out of the 16, 13 of them, we're going to be playing Fire King anyway, because it is the best deck. When they asked the interview, oh, why did you choose this deck? This is the best deck. I'm here to win. So that was pretty obvious. And so at an event where there's more variance, it might not be as effective, but they might choose to side it just in case they do end up playing in the mirror match. Then there's also Solemn Strike as a going first option. Key is to remove a lot of the Snake Eye cards, maybe even block some of the hand trap if the turn does come around. This was one of Jesse's tech that we saw twice on the stream. And then there's Anti-Spell Fragrance. When this card flipped and it did not break, the person won. It just buys too much time, and it was a very, very harsh floodgate. And the final going first tech for Kashtira, I believe Oscar Vargas was the one who played it, was the Vanity's Fiend. It's more of a turn 3 type win card against any of the meta special summon decks, because if you summon it first, you might get it pushed into the back row by Subversion. So instead, you secure a decent enough board, and then you just drop Vanity's Fiend, so there's no chance of any follow-up coming back. Because none of the Fire King cards can activate, Promethean Princess can't activate, and you just get to break the entire board for free. When this card lands, it can become Scoop Phase, and that is a very dangerous thing. If you can land this on turn 3, so even if you open with it, you might not even want to choose to summon it, but it does secure games if you manage to secure the board, and especially under a simplified game state. I would say the next card, Cosmic Cyclone, these are going first or second. We've seen it mained or side. Used to threaten the Imperm. You can also time it against the Fire King Island so that you can just blow up the rest of the board during their commitment, or use to take out like anti-spell fragments. This is a 3-of that was in a majority of decks. Super Poly, only Shenping Ju had this one aside from Andreas Torres, which main decked the card because he's playing the Branded. This is another form of non-destructive removal, and if there's only 2 monsters during the activation of Super Poly, that helps dodge Princess, because Princess has nothing to blow up, so that was pretty big. No response allowed, and Mud Dragon is really all you need when it comes to this particular target. We've also seen Change of Heart for going second. You can win if you drop a Nib token, you can steal it. Forces out the monster, and then you can take the Princess. It doesn't really respect anti-spell, so if your opponent plays anti-spell, you might get this flip and this will not work. Another card that a lot of people chose to side, one copy of, is the Sinful Spoil of Subversion, the Snake Eye, the one that pushes cards to the back. Again, this provides the Poplar or the Diabell Star another form of non-destructive removal and pushing monsters to the back. Pushing the threats away is very key. It's good for getting rid of the Arvada. It's good for getting rid of the Amblo Whale. You just want to make sure that there's less and less recovery for your opponent. And you can even use this to lock out the Mirror Jade. If Mirror Jade is in the back row, they can't fusion summon another Mirror Jade because you can only control one Mirror Jade, and in the back row, it's still technically a Mirror Jade. So keep that in mind against like the Branded players. They can't do that. Next, there's the Psyframe package. We're going second. Delta and Gamma. We've seen people brick with this, but it is a very awesome card to use for destructive negation against high-cost spells, such as the original Sinful Spoil, or sometimes even the Field Spell. You may need to use it to block Triple Tack from time to time, but I don't know. Triple Tack, if you're blocking Triple Tack, you're kind of using this like an Ash Blossom because you have nothing and they're trying to draw cards. You probably want to do something about that, but it really simplifies the game state. And as for the burn cards, we have the Agave Dragon to help you gain life. Easy Link summon for 400 life, used by about half of the players. Ghost Sister, Spooky Dogwood, that was in the majority of the side decks, so I think a lot of these players expect that people are going to take long, and there's a lot of thought process put behind each play, which could lead to also slow play, and you don't want to be in that category of players. It really sucks to get a slow play warning. It's very easily upgradable. We witnessed that on stream as well. And then finally, there's also Sprite Sprint, also dumping a Scatter Shot into Graveyard to burn for the 500, and I believe the Scatter Shot can also be destroyed by Kieran, but that's basically all the differences that the players had. So these were the decks that they played, whether it be from the 15th extra deck card to the burn cards that they played. What would I play for the 15th extra deck card? I think I would probably go for the Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. That's just my preference. I like the additional negation, but it does forces me into playing a little bit more IP heavy. And now that I've said that, maybe I'll switch to Anima, because Anima provides me with more versatility in terms of removal with the Zelantis play, but it does require me to, secure the landing so I don't get surprise nib, because most of the people that died, they got hit by a surprise nib. So keep that in mind. If you're going to be playing Pure, maybe you can consider playing a copy of Infernal Flame Banshee. It's just good to dodge Veiler if you're playing Pure Snake Eye. Divine Temple should be played by everyone. Triple Tack should be played by everyone. Crossout Designator, you can side it, I think, in the future. I think I like Solemn Strike a little bit more of an anti-spell fragrance, just because Solemn Strike is just a cool card. Anti-spell fragrance can bite you, especially if you get evenly matched, and if you're choosing to leave this up, you're giving up a lot of your other spells, so it could really, really hurt. But if you don't get rid of, if you put away your anti-spell, your opponent will get to play for free, so you're under that really, really weird contradiction. And if you're going to be playing anti-meta, consider Vanity's Fiend. It hurts a lot. Cosmic Cyclone should be played by all. Subversion, maybe you should side a copy. And your burn card of choice, Ghost Sister, Spooky Dogwood, and Agave Dragon are probably the two that I would probably go for first. That's really it for my summary. If there's anything else to add, leave it down in the comment section. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, behind the scenes. It takes a lot of time to kind of break down all these notes that I've taken for every single match, and even the finals it's recorded here, so that's how I do my job on the set. And if you guys enjoyed this video, smash a thumbs up and hit subscribe. Ding that notification bell, please. We're almost at 100K. And if you want to see more stuff like this, well, also hit that subscribe button. Ding that notification bell. I'll be at Las Vegas doing your commentary job again. And we'll break down more of this stuff when we come back. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.